Video. How are you doing? Hi Vanessa. Afternoon. Good morning, Jan B. Hey Rita, I'm doing well. Hey Spiros, doing good. How are you? How did the US CAD trade play out? Hey Christina, good to see all of you again. You all well? Minute or two, three before we get started. Hope you all have been. We saw a bit of a, not crazy, but we saw a bit of a breakout on the dollar last night and right across the board. So I hope you guys traded well. We did have a good trade on the euro dollar, and update the Discord channel on the euro dollar. Let me know if you did jump onto the euro dollar as well. Hey, risk or risk. Hope I'm not getting the name wrong. Hey, Desiree, good afternoon. Hi, Shirley, good to be here. Good to see you again. Hope you're all well. We do have a whole bunch of Eurozone, UK numbers to be released today. Later tonight, we do have a US PMI data to be released as well. So we look forward to that. Hey, Wei, yeah, how are you doing? Afternoon. Hi, Kelvin. So quite a number of data to be released today. Gonna be, don't think it will change things too much. But I do think that there'll be a couple of setups that or there are a couple of setups I'm looking. Hi, Diana. Doing? Belle's on holiday today, so this Belle. Hey, Jordan. Hi, everyone, new and old. That's a good way to put that. Yeah, so the link is there, right? The Discord link is there. We have just hit a new milestone, 500 new members on Discord channel. So if you haven't already, please do join the Discord channel. Carsten, with a quick question, can you please explain why yesterday during the Sydney Tokyo session, dollar index was put down, then when London market opened, dollar index was pushed up? Even okay, we'll look into that. I'll tell you more about that as we look at the charts and the news. Actually, it was not driven by news, so we look at it on the charts. Any impact from BRICS? I haven't seen any particular impact from BRICS at this moment. From the BRICS meeting in South Africa at this moment. We also do have the Jackson Hole Symposium that's coming up over the weekend. So no, I think there has been a lot of talk about how the BRICS group is going to dethrone the dollar. But I think that as traders, it's probably not something that's going to impact us for now. I think that it's going to be a while, quite a while more before something comes around. So apart from that, haven't heard much else but from the BRICS. Okay, so let's get started. All of you are here. Let's go. Welcome again to the Daily Market Analysis. Here to share with you my views, thoughts, ideas about the fundamentals in terms of when news is going to be released, what data we're likely to see, technicals, where price is, where it could head towards, and then combine that together, we look for some possible trade setups. We do have a number of new viewers. So if you are new to this session, I do this almost every day, 3 p.m. GMT plus 8. So do put it into your schedule. Hope you become a regular. Drop a message, say hi, let me know where you're joining us from. And also the link is there. So for the Discord channel. So if you haven't already, do jump onto the Discord channel. That's where we can take our discussions beyond this 1 hour session on the daily market analysis. We can have more discussions on the channel. Okay. With that, what else I was going to say? Oh, do help me out. Click that like and subscribe button on YouTube, on TradingView, or on Trading.live. That would help massively in terms of getting more people onto the session. And also do subscribe just so that you get that notification when I do upload a video or I go live during this market analysis. So let's keep going. Quick disclaimer, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. Please do your own due diligence because the contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, and your objectives, financial situation, and does not being considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Okay, so with that, keep going. Right. Index, right factory, all there. Okay. Before we move further on, just want to share with you a couple of articles that I wrote for a brokerage. This is the US yen, talking about whether it would intervene. Then also wrote another one about the euro dollar and how it's at a near-term support. These are all in the H4 time frame, so do check it out. It is the news and analysis portion happening here. Okay, so it's under the news and analysis portion here, and check out the two most recent articles I wrote for the brokerage. All right, that done, that away. Hey, 5 Steps to Grace, how are you doing? Morning. So looking at this, a question, the early question from Carsten was about the dollar index. We'll get to that. Yesterday, well, we do have the BRICS summit, and then not much else. We did have manufacturing index for the US, existing home sales for the US came out slightly lower than previous and lower than expected, but yet we actually saw the dollar index spike, right? Really climb to the upside. So the question was, why did that happen? I can tell you that I was actually looking through the news as that was happening, right? It's scheduled. Interesting. There was no big news events or no big comments or announcements that was that we could attribute to why the dollar index spiked up. Okay, so I believe that it's more of a technical setup, a technical play, and that's why we're seeing the dollar index retrace slightly right now. Okay, so that was last night. Moving on to today, early this morning at 6:45 a.m. GMT plus 8, we did have the Kiwi dollar. The Kiwi with their retail sales number quarter on quarter was a minus 1.6%, expected to be minus 0.4, came out at a minus 1, while core retail sales was at a minus 1.8. It was a minus 1.1, got revised up to minus 1.6. So not very good news in terms of retail sales and core retail sales numbers for New Zealand. And what we actually saw at that time, zooming it right in, at 6 a.m., right? That point there, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. there, we actually did see the Kiwi dollar drop slightly to the downside, right? So slightly to the downside before pushing back up at 9 a.m. GMT plus 8 a.m. GMT plus 8. So and that's also one reason why I didn't pay too much attention to this yesterday as we were talking about it, because the retail sales number for New Zealand does have some impact, but not massive impact on price, or not sustained impact on price. So wasn't too concerned about that. Good morning, Goju. Hi, Magic. How are you doing? Hi, Angel Case. Hi, Bot Magics and Laney. Hi, Ayakame. Hi, Booba. Hi, Ismet. You all. So what we do have in the next 5 minutes, 3:15, it's 3:10 right now, GMT plus 8. At 3:15, we do have the Eurozone. 3:15 onwards, we do have the Eurozone with all their PMI numbers. Manufacturing PMI, services PMI for the French, for the German, and for the Eurozone as a whole. Looking at it, 45.1 expected to stay at 45.1, 47.1 expected to stay at 47.5. So not a big change expected here. Same thing with the Germans, and also slightly the same with the Eurozone as a whole. Basically, how I would look at this, and I tell you this every month about the PMI, is that if it is over 50, if this number here is over 50, that's going to indicate that the manufacturing sector or the services sector is in an expansion. If it's under 50, then the sector is in a contraction. Okay, so if you look at this, data looks like it's going to stay at the under 50 range. Right, looks like it's going to stay under 50. German manufacturing PMI well below 50, and as manufacturing PMI is for the Eurozone under 50 as well, 42, quite low. Overall, as the ECB was saying in July, economic data in the Eurozone not looking very well. So I don't think that, unless this comes out at 35, for example, I don't think it's going to do too much on pricing at this point. So I'm not too particular. Same with the pound manufacturing PMI, 45.3, 45.1. Services PMI, 51.5 and 50.9. Okay, so how to navigate this? Although we know that it's not likely to impact prices too much, the thing is how to navigate this. I would suggest that it is quite close together, right? 3:15, 3:30, 4 o'clock, and 4:30. So I would say that the good thing is after our session, it'll be 4 o'clock. Give it a little bit of time, wait for the UK manufacturing and services PMI number to be released, then start looking at trades. I will factor in some price volatility when I look at the charts, but I think that it'll be wiser to wait till after 4:30 GMT plus 8 before getting into a trade. In terms of the US side, I don't think these would, again, I don't think it do too much to prices. I think that the dollar index right now is in quite a technical play, not so much the fundamentals side, not so much driven by fundamentals at this point. Okay, Canadians with the core retail sales numbers, again, small change. I think it's going to be relatively straightforward for that side, for that data release. So with that, then looking at the charts, all right, so the question from Carsten about the dollar index, right? We were right here. So during the Australian and the Tokyo timing, we did see the dollar index drop down towards this trend line. And this is the reason why, if you got the sense of what I was conveying yesterday, I was saying that, hey, we just need to wait for that reaction along this trend line. And also that I could have seen it drop slightly down towards 102.80, but I did not see any big reason with no news for it to drop all the way down. So what we had yesterday was it came down to this 103 level, hit that trend line, and bounced very strongly back up. Okay, so that's why I say it was a very technical play. There was no major news that caused the price to spike up. No comments from Chair Powell, no comments from any members, but yet saw it bounce. I would say that it's almost entirely because of that reaction at the 103 level. You can see that tail. I'll zoom in right here. You see that it came right to that 103 level, round number, before bouncing back up, and also with that trend line forming a dynamic support, causing price to bounce back up. Okay, I hope I answered your question there, Carsten. So with that, because it bounced off this level, and if I brought in Bollinger Bands, that another reason why it bounced off was that it was outside of the Bollinger Band. That's why we saw it retrace. With the retrace, you're never 100% sure of whether the retrace is going to be a brief retrace, or a complete correction all the way back up. So whenever it's outside of the Bollinger, I'll be like, okay, wait, let's see what's going to happen. Wouldn't want to try and trade it back up or bet at how far it's going to go back up, but we're going to see what happens from there. Okay, so last 4 o'clock we saw it bounce. 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, it went all the way up to that previous high, right? It tested that previous high there at 103.60, went as high as 103.70, and started retracing back down again. Why? So you're wondering why? So question from Carsten was just wondering why the US session made it go down. Again, I would say it's a technical play. Like we were saying during yesterday's session, it was within that range. It was within the 103.50 and 103.55 range. So last week bounced off, went back up, came down, bounced off, came back down. This was Monday, bounced off slightly, and then came back down. So it's just within that range. It was bouncing around. There was no big reason why it should have gone up. So it just came back down to that support. So it just filled, or what some would say is grabbed the liquidity below this support level, below those equal lows, before spiking back up again. Okay, so I would say I'll still attribute it quite a technical setup or technical play, technical analysis. Okay, so right now on the dollar index, again, you see that we don't have any major news apart from the PMI numbers to be released. The dollar index spiked up and it's retracing again now below this 103.55 level. Another reason why you see that it went right out of Bollinger Band before coming back in again. Okay, it went right out before coming back in again. So at this point, what I would anticipate is that the dollar index could sit, most likely it would sit right along under this resistance level. Right, most likely it will sit under this resistance level. I was initially thinking that it could come down towards the trend line again and bounce back up, but I think that it's testing that 38.2 right now. testing 38.2. So if it does break below this point, right where it is, we could see it come down to 50. So I would say that it's going to range around this level. If it comes all the way down to the trend line, it will be 61.8 before bouncing back up. Okay, so I would say that on the dollar index front, 23rd of August, the dollar index is likely to consolidate with brief retracement down to 103.30. 103.30, but I think it's still likely to remain within the range of, or rather remain below 103.55. So we're looking at it consolidating, could break down slightly before bouncing back up. I check these lines. I like these lines here. Even if I did move it up slightly, 103.6 there. Okay. So you saw it retrace, slightly bounce. The question now, why I'm hesitating a bit is, the question is whether it will break below 103.45. Right? Would it break below 103.45? If it does, then we test the trend line before bouncing back up. Resistance of 103.80 could be tested, but I don't see the reason why so I'm thinking that it'll come down, test, and bounce back up. 103.55, make that 103.70. So yesterday's high. All right, fair enough. Understand you get the concept of the dollar index. It's all good, let me know. Lost anyone, let me know as well. All right, so with that, then looking at the Kiwi dollar. Kiwi dollar, yesterday when we were talking about this, I was being a little bit optimistic. I was looking for it to test that support, that resistance and that trend line, reject and sell down. It went up, not as high as I thought. Right, it went up. This was us at this point, 5956. It went up slightly before coming back down again to 595, and then still within that range. So that trade did not trigger. We'll take that one away. Now, look at this. Anticipating that dollar weakness. It could very well do the same thing as yesterday. At 4 or 5 o'clock, it'll start bouncing back up. So we'll be careful of that. But looking at some brief downside, I'm looking again at the dollar, and this time checking this. If I didn't take the tail and I took the body, it would be the reason why it bounced off around that point, all these levels. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 testing. I don't see why the Kiwi dollar, especially after that bad news on the retail sales, we saw, think that the Kiwi dollar is going to go up, right? So I think that any upside could be quickly reversed back down again. JMB is asking about $2 index trend line, 3 points. Okay. So I have that one away. Okay. I have it from the 18th of July, started 27th of July, and then after that, a bit of a body there. I ignored the tail on the 10th of August, then again on the 22nd of August, back up. Okay, fantastic, awesome. So, lost my train of thought. Okay, Kiwi dollar, some dollar weakness, going to push it back up, looking for it to bounce again. So what I'm looking for is a test and a reject back down. I like this, liken this to sell 5945. Stop loss can be quite tight, no more than 20 pips. No more than 20 pips. Take profit could be down to 40 pips towards that low, right? Towards the low. So that's what I would waiting for. If it does break above that trend line, then I'm not going to look at the Kiwi dollar because I'm still expecting that downside potential. So 5945, 2040. So 5945, stop loss, profit 40. Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't feel, it could look like it's breaking out, but then you end up seeing a tail. Just be a bit careful, a bit more patient there on the dollar. Then onto the Aussie, did not even come close to triggering our trade with the resistance holding, with the dollar index strengthening. The confluence of that resistance makes sense. That away. I very seldom I would say don't trade on the Aussie, but it is right in the middle of that support and resistance level. Right, it's right in the middle of the two levels. If we're expecting a similar move like this, right, Kiwi dollar pushing up before turning back down, then I would say on the Aussie dollar, being a little bit optimistic is that I would like to see it test and reject, right? Test that resistance of 6465, reject back down again. Say 455, 455, or maybe even slightly lower. 450. Stop loss 20 pips. Again, take profit almost to the downside. I wouldn't rate this very highly. This is something that I would like, but I wouldn't be surprised if it sits right there before pushing lower again. Right, it sits right there before pushing lower again. So this is set up there. This setup is there, but I'm thinking it might not trigger. And I don't want to be entering a trade. I don't want to be entering a trade in the middle of that support and level. Okay, so if it goes up, hits and turns back down, or reverses after going up, great, I have a trade. If not, then I'm not looking to enter a trade on the Aussie dollar. Okay, so 6450, stop loss 20, take profits. Would love to get into that trade, but wait to enter. So stop loss. this 30 minutes more for the dollar index to signal whether it's going to break 38.2, like downside before maybe bouncing. Then onto the US yen, right? US yen came very close. In fact, if you might have got into that trade, we were looking at selling from 145.60, came down slightly before bouncing back up. Again, you see that was way outside of the Bollinger Band. So that's why I wouldn't have got into that trade. But if you didn't have that and you got in, you would have hit a stop on that of 20 pips. At this point right now, okay, right at this point right now, you see that the, oh, wait a minute, hang on a second, check what happened. So it's a bit odd that we see the dollar that's possibly because of that happened, right? The news just came out. German flash services PMI, it went from 52.3 in expansionary phase, expected to slow down, to 51.5 still in expansionary. What has happened is that it went from expansionary into contractionary. Okay, so it went from a 50 expansionary phase to contraction at 47.3. Dollar index spiked up because so we would see euro dollar spiking down. Okay, so I don't think this move is not because of the dollar strength, but more because of euro weakness. Right, 39 minutes ago, dollar strengthening expected to continue due to solid US economy. That was 39 minutes ago. That does not attribute to this move. This drop on the euro, and in fact, I'll skip ahead, is euro dollar pushing down. We could be looking at further downside. Okay, so I will revise later slightly. Right, let's look at what happens there. But euro dollar now dropping below this support level. This was what we looked at yesterday on the Discord channel. As it was breaking, I said, hey, euro dollar downside, a revision of the analysis is for it to test lower, and it's done that. So I did get into this trade on the euro. I think I got in about 108.90, below 108.90, just below 108.90. Stop loss was quite tight at 20. My take profit was down to 45, about there. Okay, euro dollar. I'm getting a little bit distracted now because we do have a nice live news event. So we'll take the opportunity to look at that. Euro dollar is breaking down from this 1.0835 level. As it pushes lower, my next support level, I see your question there, Diana. In a second. The next support level, I would say, is at 107.75 because of this previous level. Okay, and again, drag it right across. You see that this level working quite well, and beyond that, next one here at 106 dots. 1.0670. Okay, so now coming back to the narrow here on the dollar, on the euro dollar, don't rush into it. It is a news event, don't rush into it. Also because you see that it is slightly outside right now. We did have this release that was a bit of a surprise, but we also do have the Eurozone with their manufacturing and PMI to be released. With the way the German PMI got released, I anticipate that we might see flash services PMI go below 50. Right, I do anticipate that we'll see it go below 50. So with that, wait for that retrace before possibly selling down towards 107.75. There has been some previously there has been some questions about how to scalp this. If you looked at this on the M15 or even the right, I digress a little bit, just bear with me. But this is a live event. 15 minutes, it's way outside of that Bollinger as well. So we are 10 minutes away from this candle to close. I'm looking for it to possibly come back up a little bit to sell down. M5, you see that it's way outside. So it should come back up a little bit. Then on the M1, is that we're sitting right there. So typically what happens with a news event, surprising news event, is that you see a move like that, right? You see a move like that, which is if it took this right across, what we're looking at. For a drop, bit of a retrace, for continuation back down. If I were not on this call and I was scalping this, then I could have been looking to sell down here, right? As if the candle closes below this point, I'll wait for the candle to close. Take profit will be down to 30, 35 pips. Stop loss would be tight, either about 15 to, I wouldn't go too high. It's about that 20 pip range, right? But this is why I tell all my coaching clients that scalping is not something that you should be doing right now. You have to sit there, be super disciplined. Like you can see that it failed to close below, so it's bouncing back up. Going to sit there for a little bit. While on the 5 minutes, we anticipate that it should push back up a little bit. Okay, so this has gone slightly from a daily market analysis to a live trading scalping session, and we'll check back on this. So I hope you're enjoying this sudden impromptu session. Hope it's interesting, but it's sitting right there now. So don't do anything on the euro dollar at this point. We are looking for it to break below this point, or straight line, below this point before you would be looking to break, as in break and close, before you're looking to getting a trade. Okay, I will check back on shortly. And this is what happens when I'm trading or when I'm scalping. I do go a bit quiet, thinking my brain and mouth does not align. So let me just give it a bit of, we're going to run over today. I'll tell you, we're going to run over today just because I want to do this together with you guys. And like Desiree said, it's good because often we want to apply the analysis and trading. Now you get to see it live. So I'll give it a bit of time and see where the euro dollar goes. Hey, Matic, appreciate the live discussion. Yeah, me too. It's just a bit of a surprise. Jordan says very actually showing how the smaller time frames build the larger ones. Yep. Diana was asking, you mentioned Brexit, not Brexit, BRICS in South Africa. So the main topic is dollar devaluation, and I'd like to know your opinion about it overall. Like I was saying, that with the BRICS meeting in South Africa, dollar derealization or de-dollarization is something they've talked about and everyone has talked about for a very long time. I don't see it happening soon. I don't see it happening soon. And as a trader, for me, I really don't bother about it too much until it has happened. Then or until it's very close to happening, then we'll look at the um, the impact of it. But I do, as a macro view, as an economic macro view, I do see a lot of opportunities if they do succeed in that de-dollarization. Okay, so this is also another reason why I don't schedule events to live trade or to scalp, because it comes to a point where it just drops and it's sitting right there, not doing anything. Then we end up having awkward silences, all of us, um, especially for me. So it's consolidating right now. We'll leave that for a while. It does need to, so on the 5 minutes, what I'm looking for is that it is still outside of that Bollinger, so it does need to come back in before going down, or Bollinger needs to catch up before it'll come back down again. So we do have a bit of time there. 15 in 5 minutes, the 15 is going to close. It's going to be way outside, it needs to retrace. So we have time. Okay, so with that time, we're going to be a bit more constructive and redo all my analysis on the dollar again, because it found a good support at 38.2. If you guys are watching the euro dollar, do let me know if something happens. Okay, so it found a good support at 38.2, pushing up. So that's not happening. Spiking up, going to test 103.80. 103.80 is there. Could get to 104.30. A little bit too optimistic. I would say 104.20 reasonable. Yeah, 104.20, 104. Yeah, I'll keep it at 104.30. Okay, so right now I would adjust this and expect that on. Okay. So I expect the dollar index to continue pushing up now. So this will change to dollar index is look for break above 103.80 with next resistance at 104.30. Little risk of that in terms of Bollinger Band, so I'm okay with that. Think that it could come up, test this area, then retrace a bit before continuing up. So you can see one move, and the analysis changes completely, or almost completely. And that's why I always encourage traders to maintain some level of flexibility, right? I wouldn't sit here and go, oh, I still think that the dollar is going to go down. It might go down, but I think that with this move, we're looking for it to break above this, right? It could stay within this range, but looking for it to break that resistance. Okay, so with that, then see how the euro dollar is retracing back on 15, back up, M5 coming close to that Bollinger Band, M1 well back in. So remember that pattern that I was showing you before. We're looking for that bounce, a retrace, or breaking again. Okay, we'll come back to that. Revising the view on the Kiwi dollar. That's that's triggered, right? Not triggered, but it's already gone down. So we'll take that away. As much as I didn't like it before, thinking that it would be doing that, I think that we are looking for it to come down towards the support level of 0.59 to close below this point before we see the downside. So this could look like, I don't like this anymore. I don't like the Kiwi dollar anymore, because if it does close down 5935, you have a very small take profit, 30 pips, stop loss 20 pips at best. It's not really worth the risk, but that's what I think is likely to happen on the dollar, as that downward trend line provides the support, provides the resistance. If it does break below that support, then we could see 5850, but I'll tell you more about that as that happens on the Discord channel. Okay, Jordan said BRICS new development bank completed the auction for its first South African rand bonds. Okay, I'll read more into the BRICS because I don't feel that it really affects me too much at this point. So I haven't really read too much into it, just the broad level info. So if that's something interesting, we'll look more into that. So that's update on the Kiwi dollar. 5935, stop loss 20, take profit 80. 5935, stop loss 20, take profit 30. Yeah, this is something that you could get into, but it just needs a bit of a management. And then the funny thing is, the next moment this completely retraces. But if that does happen, then I'll update you guys in the Discord. We're not going to change the analysis 5 times an hour. Okay, so that's the key. Aussie trading down at this point, right? I wouldn't bother about the Aussie. Like I was saying, it's right in the middle of the support and resistance. Idea would be that it could come down, test this level, and then we need it to break before we see further downside, with the next support at about 6 to very far away, 215. There we have. I have my support there. 276. So there we have it. Only if it does break, then we could go for the next one, but I think wait for their reaction along that support level. Okay, dollar retracing back. US yen, we were talking about that briefly before we got distracted with the euro. US yen retracing back, bit odd because that dollar strength, that sudden spike up, not push the yen up. In fact, we saw it drop. One reason is because it's possibly being dragged down because of the euro yen, right? The euro dollar dropping massively, dragging the euro yen down. As the euro yen drops, that's leading to the dollar yen dropping. So it's the correlation between euro to the yen, yen to the US yen, right? So at this point, this is becoming a masterclass. This is becoming a masterclass in terms of scalping and inter-currency correlations. I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying it too, right? at this point looking for it to break, to continue down. Would not, because of the way the dollar index is pushing up, and also how, yeah, because of the dollar index pushing up, I see a possible quick reversal on the US yen. So don't do anything on the yen now. I anticipate that we could see it come down and bounce back up. Right? I think it could come down and bounce back up because what could happen is euro dollar dropping, euro yen dropping. Then when the euro dollar stabilizes, then it will take into effect the dollar pushing up, which could cause it to bounce. And also, it's not worth trying to get into a trade right now because 145.35, only have a 30 pip move to the downside. Big strong support here on the dollar yen. So not too keen on the yen at this point. Okay, so Aussie dollar would be a look for reaction on support of, and I realize I might be talking a little bit quickly. Just bear with me. Let me know if you have any questions. Aussie dollar 638 6390 or 0.60. Dollar index is retracing, that's fine. Up, then on to, so if it, even if it sits there, I'm not too keen this. Kiwi dollar back up, so we're still looking at that same setup. US yen trading down again. Let's look for a reaction at 145. So look for reaction 145. In fact, if you guys, especially for the members on the Discord channel, check out the link for the yen article that I wrote for the brokerage. That could come in quite interesting as yen drops towards the 145 support level. Then I do a quick check on the euro dollar. Right, look at that. It's almost moving to what we planned, right? So big drop, bounce, hit that level, and I think if you did this, you notice that it correlates, comes that point. That point, yep, came very close to that 38, so failed to break 38. Okay, so it just bounced back up. For the more aggressive traders, I would say that you could. So there are days when I feel more aggressive, then I would be looking to see whether I could, sell down at about, yeah, if it closes below 38.2 or that 50% level. So if it does, so for the more aggressive ones, you could be looking at selling. Again, disclaimer applies, yeah? You could be looking to sell down, stop loss, 10 pips, right? Take profit. You could go quite significantly down. I would say a 30 pip first and see how it plays out. So that could be for the aggressive traders. Look for it to close below 50 before you get in. For the less aggressive ones, I would say that at this point, you say, great, it looks like it's coming back down. I'm interested. I would still only sell below that previous low. Then you would look to sell at that point. Then you could go down to your 30 pips there. A stop loss could be your 20 pips. Okay, so there is the aggressive and there is the non-aggressive methods of trade entry. Okay. Oh, this has been an exciting session. I hope every session is like this. I love it. All right. So pound dollar on the H1 time frame again did not trigger our trade. Take that away. That inverted head and shoulder formed up, didn't move all the way. Right now, pound dollar, look at that. That level as an interim support level is there, right? And it's broken that trend line, so you can actually take this trend line away, breaking that level. What I'm looking for here is, that's fine, is for it to break past this point for further downside. Okay. One thing to remember as well is that this sudden spike is a news driven spike, so it could retrace completely at the end of this session, but we're setting up to prepare for if it does move as planned. So what I will be looking for here on the pound dollar would be below this low, right? Below this low that we see here, candle close, 1.26, so below 1.27, 1.26990, stop loss 25 to 30 pips, 5 pips, take profit, be down to 73 towards the next support level. Right? Waiting for it to break that support, close below this point, 1.2690, 25 to 70. Okay. Looking to sell 1.2690, stop loss 25, take profit 70. Go. Diana says, in my opinion, pound dollar will go down. Yes, I hope so, because it took one day low and then go to previous week low, grab the liquidity there. Yep, I agree. On Monday, it took some of that, bounced, grabbed that top liquidity, came back down. I'm just a bit cautious because that spike was really because of the news. So I do need to see this continue up. I think the pound dollar will play out quite nicely. Okay. Desiree is happy, very valuable. DL says, what a wonderful session. Good. Jordan's brilliant. Join this session. Very good. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this session. I am as much as you are. Okay, so Desiree has a question there. Since I was expecting it to retrace, do I normally try and take the opportunity to scalp it up before trading down? Entirely not, right? I would say that in my early trading days, when I was a lot less disciplined, I would, right? In my early trading days, I would be, okay, this is going up. Can I buy it up? I would try and buy it up and then try and sell it down again. You could make money, but it's not going to be sustainable because you just don't know how far it's to retrace by. It could retrace a little bit. It could just do one green candle before coming back all the way down again. Depends on the news. Depends on the news and how much it's going to retrace by. So very dangerous to try and scalp it back up. I do want to follow the trend and try and trade it down. I'll give you another example is that if the euro dollar did not spike down and in fact it spiked up, then I would be looking at this as the euro dollar spiking up. It would be against the overall trend. I would not be as excited as I am right now. We're talking about trying to sell it down further because that would be against the trend. So why excitement now is because trading down, it's spiked down, it's retraced. We're looking for that continuation to the downside. Okay, hope I answered your question there, Desiree. I'm supercharged. I feel like I have had 5 cans of Red Bull already. Need to see pound data too. Maybe won't be as bad. I'm going to watch my words now, because I was going to say I don't think the pound data would be too crazy, but never know, right? We have 22 seconds to hopefully not another surprise, because we're going to keep this session going for the next 2 hours. We shall see. All right, I'll give it a 10 seconds and we'll see what the number is. Here we go. Not out. Okay, 43.7, so a little bit better than previous. Driven up by that stability and that 48.3. So we're possibly going to see another drop. Possibly going to see another drop on the euro, because now, like, we kind of expected, because of that going into the contractionary phase, this has now went from 50 to 48.3. Still not as big an impact compared to the German, because German was at 52 down to 47.3. Quite a big swing, a 5-point swing, compared to this where it's 50.9 down to 43, so it's about a 2-point swing. So I still would anticipate that we could see this continue dropping, but not with that ferocity that we saw earlier on. Okay, so we'll keep a watch of that. And I'll come back to the euro slightly. Yeah, okay. So we've done pound. Great to hear, it's discipline rather than trying. Yeah, it's all about discipline. Okay, pound, that's fine. It's bouncing a little bit. It's found that support, so we see what happens there. It is early in the hour, so we are expecting a bit of a retrace, hopefully for that continuation back up. US Swiss franc, if you did, I don't trade, you all know I don't trade the US Swiss franc, but if you did on that setup, would have hit a stop loss. That big spike and push is because of the dollar index. It is at a resistance now. Very tempted to clean up this chart, because this, I don't think there's a value in having this trend line here, so I'll take that away. Okay, and then this way, and it is still at that resistance. I do anticipate see this tracing back down. I do anticipate that we're going to see this come back in. The only thing I can think of here would be if we could sell it down again, 8780 to the downside. But what I'm more tempted to say is that we're seeing a lot of indecision along this 0.88 level, right? So it's going to fluctuate along there for the time being. I don't think there's a big direction. So it seems like what's happening is that despite the volatility, we're not having a lot of clear directional buyers right now, right? Fluctuating along 0.88. A clearer direction point. If the dollar index does push up, then we're more likely to see it trade up. Why I'm not suggesting to go long is because if you did buy at 8810, it's a 35 pip take profit, but then there's a previous high here at about 13 pips. So it's not something that I would keep either. Okay, so the US is franc. Righty. Then the US CAD did not trigger the trade to the downside. Take that away. Trend line is still holding very strong. Levels of the trend line was back here, started on the 31st of July, tested 22nd, 21st of August, 2nd of August, and now 23rd. It's going to move up towards that resistance, but I don't think it's a tradable move. It sounds like we're going through, it sounds like the euro, the big thing to pay attention today, because this looks like it's going to sit there trade up to that resistance. Then we'll look for a reaction along that point. So 1.3580 will be the reaction point. No trade right now. So climb to 1.350. Then look for reaction. Dollar index is retracing a little bit strongly, but I think that we could still see that push. That one. So this is the highlight of why you should be a safer, less risk, less aggressive trader, because if you did get in there, just a small move before now retracing, this is still the safer option to look to sell below that low, right below that low. We're still looking for that move to come around. Then on to gold, pushing up. That's very odd because dollar was pushing up, now retracing slightly, but that big push on the dollar did not translate to a big push on the gold. And looking at this, now that it's broken, I would say that I will hold the same view. Break above 1904 to get to 1930. That's what we were talking about yesterday. I think that's how I look at this. Yep, I think it's still likely to continue to the upside. Consolidate a bit there. Okay, I'm happy with that. Then on to back to euro dollar. Right. Any questions on the smaller time frame kind of scalp on the euro dollar before I delete away those drawings? Any questions there? No? Okay, if not, I do think that it's going to come down. So this will be a scalp to the downside based on this setup. Then take that away for now. Well, take that away. And looking at this on the H1 time frame, see that also, because it was way outside Bollinger, it needs to come back in. Right? It needs to come back in, test, or at least reach this level or test this level for possibly turning back down. Not saying it's definitely going to turn back down, before possibly turning back down. Very similar to what we saw here last night. So guys on Discord, you check out the pictures that I was posting on my watch list, because at that point I was saying close out on the euro. It was outside of Bollinger. The next moment it came back up. So we're looking for that move, right? Come back in and possibly turn back down again. We're looking for that to happen. With that, then on to the longer term view, it would be that the euro dollar could move up a little bit back to that Bollinger level before turning back down again. then I would say you could be, if you're looking to sell there because of the news that's pretty much over, you could still be looking for that. Now I would be looking at a 1.0825. So basically looking for this to push up a bit before turning back down, take profit, 50 pips, stop loss, tight about 20 pips to the downside there on the euro dollar. 1.082, 1.5, stop loss 20, take profit. Still 0.0445, 25. 25, stop loss 20, take profit. No questions, was very helpful. Thank you for your insights. No problems. Thanks for that, Carsten. Thank you, Desiree. Okay, so we finally made it. We finally made it through the list after a bit of distraction and digression. But hey, if you like this, if you liked what you saw today, do help me out. Click that like and subscribe button on TradingView, trading.live, and on YouTube. Leave a comment. Help me out. Leave a comment. Tell me what you liked or how you liked the session. Get a friend and family member to jump onto the session as well next time. I want to do a quick review of the other pairs. So that's just bounced back up. Could do the same thing that we anticipated before, but we have that there. Aussie dollar being a bit undecided. It's right in the middle, so even if it doesn't come down to that support, I'm not worried. Just let's see what happens on the Aussie there. US yen, like we said, coming down towards 145. I'm looking for a reaction along 145. Wouldn't be worth trying to trade it down. Pound dollar bouncing. This was the best case scenario, but it's bouncing, doing the same thing as it did before. Can't wait for the news at 4:30, but let's see what happens at 4:30. Euro dollar is most likely, I'm anticipating it's going to continue to the downside, so we'll let that continue on. Swiss franc back down, not doing anything so long as it stays along this 88.88 range. That's going to come down a little bit. It's going to come down a little bit, test that trend line, or possibly back up. Gold, yep, heading towards 1914. All right, and the only thing that would mar this whole scenario is if the dollar just goes crazy and retraces all the way back down again. Could happen, not saying that's not going to happen, could happen, but I think that most likely it's going to consolidate or retrace a bit before pushing back up again. So that's what I'll be looking. Alrighty, so we've come to the end of the session. If you haven't already, we can do more sessions like that, but what you need to do is jump onto the Discord channel. We are at 500 new members right now, so get on board, make it the next 1,000 new members. And if you have any questions, ask it in Discord. If not, I will see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. GMT +8. Same time, same place. Take care now. Bye-bye.